All right. So today is a little different. I'm going to be doing a demo today for a app called Chrome Canvas, and I'm going to be using my tablet, my little tablet here. It's a Samsung Galaxy Tab A. It's a very inexpensive tablet. In fact, it came free with our phones. We got our phones. We got a free tablet, and so the pen I'm using or the stylus I'm using today is a free stylus I got. It came with a pen I got at a conference. But you can use your mouse. I highly recommend you get a real mouse though, versus trying to use your finger on the little pad there on the Chromebooks. If that's all you have, I will show you how you can zoom in and still get incredible detail, even using your finger in that little pad. It's a really good little program. So first thing I'm gonna do, and bear with me, I'm doing something a little out of my comfort zone, doing a share on Zoom and recording it on the OBS Studio, and also working on my Chromebook. So uh, this is as technologically advanced as Mr. Mcguire has ever been. All right, so if you saw there, if you go to Google and you simply type in Canvas Chrome, this is where it takes you. And so yours will say, have a little blue begin button for the first time. But then once you start doing it, yours will start just like this with pages of things that you've saved. And so a couple of things I want to show you. I'm going to go into this one first and just kind of look at how you can use the app and what are the different features the app has and that sort of thing. So I'm going to have to do a little turn it on the side to show you the first feature here. And because my little home button ends up being sort of in the wrong spot. But this little dark button at the top left is your selector for your colors. Now you can see it's got a wide range of colors and a nice palette to begin with. But it also has this custom button. And if you click it, it'll bring you to an infinite color range selector. So down at this bottom, I can select where in the color range, where in the rainbow, I want to select my colors from. The blue range, the purples, the reds, greens, etc. And so within that, you can see that we have those tints when we mix white with a color. Remember, we get a tint. And we have those shades, those colors. When we mix black with a color, we get a shade. And we have those tones. When we mix gray with a color, we get those tones. And so all of those exist, and we can choose from an infinite range of colors what we want to draw with. I'm going to leave it on this little blue gray. I kind of like that. Um, while I'm here, also I'm going to show you this bottom feature because it gets kind of messed up. When I turn it sideways, it's hard to get to. But that's the eraser feature. And the eraser feature, as you would imagine, allows you to erase stuff. And I'll show you just real quick an example of how that works. I'm going to select the marker tool. Oh, I'm going to select a new layer here. And we'll talk about layers in just a second. All right. And I'm going to select the marker tool and we'll make a mark I don't like. Oh no, I don't like that. Well, there's two ways I can get rid of it. First of all, this little arrow going backwards will undo anything you did. But I'm going to redo it just so I can erase it. And then, but if I choose the eraser, as you can see, I can just erase it right off of the screen. Get out of there, buddy. Okay, so that's how the eraser works. I'm going to turn it back sideways and show you the rest of the features. Okay, so the coolest feature really is this. Well, I say the second coolest feature is your size and opacity selector. So you've got four different types of drawing tools. You've got a pencil, you've got a pen, a marker, and a pastel. And even though it looks round there, it's a square pastel. And up here at the top is you've got a size and opacity selector. What it will do is, and you can see the size getting bigger and smaller there on the right, it'll determine how big the tip of your marker or of your pastel is. And this little opacity will determine if it's transparent. See how transparent it almost disappears at this end of the end of the scale, or how opaque, how thick and dark of the mark it makes. And so I usually like to work somewhere when I'm sketching in like that 3/4 opacity range because I kind of like the mark that it reminds me more of an actual mark you might get with a pastel or pencil, that sort of thing. And so once you've chosen the tool you want to draw with, and you've chosen the size of the nib you want to draw with, I'll draw with about something like that maybe, and you've chosen your opacity, then you can go over here and start drawing. And now I created a new um, um, layer, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm just going to trace over Actually, I'm going to choose my marker and I'm going to get a little smaller nib than that. There we go. I'm going to go small. There we go. I'm just going to go over this, and you can see I'm just tracing over that smiley face that was there. And I can draw a little smiley face. I'm going to trace over his eyes, his nose, and his mouth. Oh, his mouth got really big this time. Okay. Now, over here on the right is the very coolest feature. It looks like a square on top of another square, and that's the layers. And what the layers do is really neat. So, if you wanted to do animation, this is one of those programs you can create cool little animation with. And so, imagine right now I've got four slides, but you can there for each slide there are three little boxes you can see here on the left. You've got the little four arrows that go in the different directions. That you can use to move your slides up or down in order. If you get one out of order, you can move it and put it where it belongs. There's a little eyeball. Turning that on or turning that off lets you see that or not see it. If I click it and and the line goes through the eye, that means I don't see that layer. So if I turn off all the layers except that very first layer, oh sorry, and the last button is a familiar button. That's that little garbage button. If you don't like it, you can throw that layer away. Okay, so I'm turning all my layers off except the very first one, just so you can kind of see how this works. Which one did I leave on? There. Okay. Whoop. There we go. All right. So just the first layer on. This is where it would start. Now imagine if you put this in an app that goes through the slides quickly, it would switch from that quickly to this quickly, and then finally to this one. Boom, and you would get to see that smiling face get his smile. And that's a very simple animation. You can import these slides into a program even as simple as PowerPoint and let it put together a slideshow for you. It'll create a little animation for you. So those are the tools. You've got a pen tool. Let's look here. I'll start a new. So if I want to get out here, I'm just going to go back to this little arrow for me. This brings me back to my desktop. I'm just going to do a new drawing just to show you the different tools. So this is the pen tool. I love the pen tool. You can see the little curves it makes are pretty smooth, very nice. It draws well. There's not a lot of lag behind where I'm drawing and when I see my mark. This is the pencil tool. This is really nice. We're doing cross hatching, and again, you can change the size of that if you want to. We can turn the opacity up a little bit if we want to. Little shadows there, little cross hatching. We can create that. This is the marker tool. The marker tool, as you saw, makes a very dark mark, like a marker does. And again, it makes nice smooth lines. And if I don't move real fast, that thing just about tracks and traces almost perfectly. Again, you got the pastel tool, and you can see the pastel tool sort of leaves that more transparent, and you can see as it goes over itself, it builds itself darker like a real pastel does. So it's pretty nice. And again, you've got the eraser tool. If you want to come back and erase an area, you can. So how do I use it, right? And how might you use it? Once you play with it, you'll find there's a lot of things you can do, particularly with that layers addition. It makes it a very good program that's comparable to, um, the types of programs you're going to pay for. Sketchbook is my favorite free one. If you have an app that's what I usually use when I sketch on my tablet. But this works really well, and it's a great program. So this is kind of what I do with it. And so before I start a painting, I like to do a color study of that painting. And so I'll do sketches. Like if I'm going to do a landscape, I'll do sketches of that landscape. Then I'll take a picture of that sketch I did, import it into my drawings, and then I can kind of very quickly using the electronic stuff here, I can see what it would look like in different colors, or if I use different techniques in a particular area, so I know what my painting is going to look like before I even start, and know what direction I want to go in. And so this is how I use it. Now this is a color study I'm doing of a John Singer Sargent painting. I'm going to turn off all the layers except the original painting layer. And so this is the initial sketch you can see that I did of the painting. Oh, no, I didn't mean to turn that off. Turn that off right there. And so this is the actual painting. And so what I simply did was create a layer over that. And then on that layer, I started going in and sketching with my pencil. So I'll zoom in so you can see that's my sketch mark right there. And so I'll show you on the with a pencil here. Oh, no, that's on the wrong layer. Okay, let me just show you here very quickly. If you zoom in tight too, and this is where I was saying that if you had a even on those I'm drawing on an and I forgot to turn on my layer there. That's why I can't see it. Let's try that again. All right. See, is that gonna let me? There we go. Now we're cooking. All right, let's get rid of that mark because I didn't like it. But I'm gonna zoom in here. I'm gonna turn down the size so you can see just how precise you can get with this. I'll turn the opacity up so you can see the marks as best I can make them for you. And now I'm zoomed in about as far as it can go. But it's really close. Now look at the detail. I can draw my line very close in here. Right? I could create this detail here. And I'm using this blue so you can kind of see where I'm drawing. And again, I'm using that pencil, but if I use the marker, and again, I'm going to turn this tip size down all the way. But I could make a more solid mark if I wanted to. But again, this is a little fine, so I'm going to undo those because I don't like those marks. Matter of fact, I'm going to undo all of those marks because I don't want those. But I'm going to show you now with the little pen instead of the marker. That's what I should have chosen. I'll turn it down. Okay. Now you can see how easy it is to get that line real close here. Now when I zoom in, look how small that line really is. That's a very, very, very fine, small line. So you can see how by working in close and tight, how you can get that same sort of level of detail that you'd get if you had a really fine pencil and a lot more control over it. Okay, so last thing I'll just show you real quick. I put a layer, and then I did a little sketch of it, and that's what this is. Oh, okay, and that was this sketch. Oh, I have to turn that off. And so this was the sketch I did, and I just did outline, basic outline of it. And then on this outline, all I did was add another layer, and that was this layer. And I added some color. I just added some background color, and I took my marker and squished it around in there. And the same way with the pastel and the pants, just to kind of block in some color. And then I'm starting to add a little more detail here and there to different areas of the face and the head and that sort of thing. So this is an in process and in progress. What I'll start doing now as I go in, I might turn that bottom layer back on and look for details that. So if I zoom in here, for instance, I might go, okay, let's look at his ear, and I'm going to zoom in here and maybe pick my pencil and I want a little darker color. Will I do that? No, it's just gonna go all together. Now let's make sure I'm on the right layer. There we go. Okay. And I have to turn sideways to select my color when I'm zooming. So please bear with me. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in here and let's see, let's zoom in, and you can see where my lines have been going. And so I'm going to say, okay, let's find some more detail in this ear here. So I might just come up here and start taking my pencil and start finding these lines here a little bit and kind of redefining and a little sharpening this part of the ear. I might go, wow, I kind of missed this shape a little bit. I want to make sure I get that just right. Um, I can then maybe come in with different color and start adding where I'm going to start putting in lighter values or darker values and that sort of thing. And so by zooming in, I might work on the lip there. Put put those dark marks where the lip's gonna be, so that when I zoom out, I'll know more. And then once I get the sketch the way I like it, I will eliminate the painting underneath of it and just kind of take a wash brush approach to it, if you will, with that pastel and a very washed out light um, pastels for the background and into the different areas of color, and then slowly build those up layer over layer until I start getting the colors I want the way I want them. Once I decide, in a painting that I really like the way it's looking, what I then do is I print that out and I start looking at ways to make the actual painting I'm working on look more like the image I want it to look like when it's finished. And by doing this process, I can already figure out what colors I'm gonna blend together, what areas I'm gonna make brighter, lighter, darker, create those areas of emphasis that we talked about in the module. All right, I hope this helps. I hope you learned a little bit today about this Canvas app, the Canvas Chrome app. They couldn't make it a difficult name, could they? It's already associated to something we use, but I guess because it's art, they call it Canvas. But this is the Chrome Canvas application. Please feel free to use this for as many assignments as you can use it for. Um, if there's an assignment that you really want to do on it, but it doesn't really fit, bend that assignment until it fits here. All right. You all have a good day.